Well, today we have Outlaw. This is a Colorado beer. I saw it on Instagram because Co Wetzel and I think Hardy or something like that have endorsed this beer as the new light beer they're trying to take off, and it's going to be the new beer for everybody. And it's got a deer on it, a nice whitetail, which is pretty cool. I don't know how well you're able to see it or whatever, but looks cool. And yeah, I don't know, it's 4.2% alcohol. It doesn't really have much else on there. The beer's just called Outlaw. It says Daredevil since 1859. Enjoy the gold. Punch the pickaxe. Mile High light beer. It's honestly not that good. I'm trying to figure out what it reminds me of. I can't really quite figure it out, to be honest. It doesn't taste like your typical light beer. Busch Light, Coors Light, whatever, Miller Lite. I guess maybe it's kind of similar to a Coors Light. Honestly, tastes kind of similar to a mixture of a Coors Light and a Miller High Life. Might be closer to a Miller High Life now that I think about it. I haven't had one of those in a long time, but it's kind of reminds me of. It's not that good. Sorry, Outlaw, but I don't see this taking off very well for you guys, but cool can. Guess I'll drink it anyway. I had to buy a 24-pack of it because that's all they had. But I was like, I want to try it. It looked cool. So, move on from that. All right, today we're going to talk about, well, first of all, welcome back to Pins and Crosshairs. This is actually episode 12 because I said episode 12 last time when I was shooting the golf trip video with David, and I was wrong. It was actually episode 11. So today is episode 12. And today we're going to be talking about how hunting is becoming a rich man's sport. And I only say that because obviously prices have been increasing, over the years, which is normal. I mean, the price of everything has gone up. That's just to be expected. The people that run our country are obviously morons. So anyway, besides that, Utah just came out, I think it was either earlier this week or last week I saw, with a bill proposal that's going to double the prices of all of their hunting licenses and permits for non-resident. So I was like, that's insane. And so I went and looked up the prices because I was curious to know what they costed. I want to know what an elk hunt costs, or just a permit, and what a deer costs. So on top of that, I went and looked up a bunch of states for deer and elk. So that way I tried to cover some of the, most popular deer hunting states and some of obviously the rest of the popular elk hunting states. Obviously there's your few good ones that, are the big ones that are popular, but I tried to cover those just to see where they're at price-wise, because the bill that was proposed already passed through the state house and the state senate of Utah, and now it's up to the governor to sign it and it goes into effect, or he doesn't sign it, but I don't know. We'll see. I found an article on it, so I'm going to pull that up and kind of go over a little bit of that, just because I'm curious to see what you guys think, because I got the numbers and everything. I've never elk hunted in any state. I would love to elk hunt. I'd love to go do it, and everybody always says you should. So I've been talking about doing it for a while now, trying to figure out a state to go to. Obviously, Colorado is the most popular, but it's not. I don't think it's over the counter anymore. I think it's a draw everywhere now. It used to be over the counter, obviously, but they got super pounded by the population, which I understand because there was no limit for a while or whatever. I don't know. But so obviously I've always heard Utah is one of the best elk hunting states. That's been pretty well known, I think, for a while, for giant bulls, whatnot. And So when I heard this come out, obviously I was just in Utah golfing not that long ago too. Wanted to check it out and see what it all said. So here's the prices. Here's the current cost for non-residents. This actually has, this is your adult hunting license, your bull elk, your buck, which I'm assuming is mule deer buck, and then sheep tag as well. Current costs for non-residents in the state of Utah. For your basic adult hunting license, $120. Limited entry multi-season bull elk, $1,855. Limited entry buck, I'm assuming that's whitetail, or not whitetail, mule deer, $1,130. Limited entry sheep tag, $2,244. So in this bill, it is projected to double the cost for non-residents. So now for a non-resident, it would make it $240 for the license, $3,710 for the bull elk tag, $2,260 for the mule deer buck tag, $4,488 for the sheep tag. And I'm not really worried about the sheep at this point. I'm not even thinking about that. That's a whole nother kind of separate category. But in America, I feel like at this point, majority of hunters, they always want to go shoot deer and elk. Those are, I would say, probably the biggest two species that like everybody. I mean, most people can shoot a deer in almost any state in America, and elk is a lot more limited. There's not near as many states that have elk, and getting tags for elk in a lot of states can be difficult, which I understand. Not saying tags should be easy to get, but now you're taking an elk tag, which was already $1,855. And when I go over the numbers of these other states, you're going to be like, damn, that actually was expensive. And now it's going to be $3,710. That's just for the tag. That's not even if you're going through an outfitter or anything. Like, that's just if you're going to go public or just whatever. If you're going to go through an outfitter, now you got to tack on whatever else on top of that. I mean, like, I don't even know how to go from that. It's just, I mean, I get it. Non-resident should cost more. I don't disagree with that. I've talked about that with Nebraska. Non-resident tags should always be at least double, I think, of what the residents pay. Double or triple or, I mean, quadruple even. I don't know. Because then you look at now their resident cost, because that resident cost isn't changing at all in Utah. For the hunting license for a resident in Utah, it's $40. Okay, sounds reasonable. Bull elk resident, $564. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a reasonable price to me for if I was a resident. Mule deer buck, $170. And sheep tag, $564, just like the elk. Like, I mean, those prices seem reasonable to me. But $3,710 for a non-resident? That's just insane. I can't afford that. I mean, I would just, I don't know. That's just a lot. I just don't understand. I mean, I know I'd probably have to read more of the bill just to see what it's talking about. I mean, it's saying the Utah Department of Wildlife Resources is 92% self-funded and receives only limited funding from the state's general fund. That is what the agency reported that year. Well, I don't know. Get your shit together, Utah. I think I said that on the last podcast. Like, maybe, take some of your stupid money that you're doing with alcohol or whatever. I don't even know. Like, just find ways to get money for it. I just probably sound stupid talking like that, but that's just insane. Like, that much money to shoot an elk. The problem I have with it is, like, I want to go shoot an elk, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to go shoot a big bull. Yeah, that'd be great. But I'd also be happy with a small bull. just because I would honestly love to get elk meat. And I'm not a meat hunter. I'm not that guy that's like, I only hunt for meat. I would love to actually have an elk. You get a lot of meat off of it. It's really, really good meat. I would love to have the opportunity to do that. In Utah, that's just stupid. I could buy 3 cows for that in Nebraska. 3 full cows. Why would I buy an elk tag and maybe not even have a chance at getting one? Yeah, you're getting an experience. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, even for the people that are meat hunters, that's insane. I don't know. And the thing that scares me about this, and this is what I've heard from some of the stuff I've read up on and seen some videos on, is they're really worried that because Utah did this, all of these other Western states that have the elk hunting are going to follow suit and basically double their costs as well. And that's what scares me, because now you're going to go from one state doing it because whatever their reason is, and maybe they think they got the biggest, baddest elk. I don't know. And maybe they do. But now if all these other states do it too, you're essentially pricing out all of the non-resident hunters. It's only going to be rich people that do it. Like, all your normal hunters that are like, you always have your groups. Like, you know, sometimes you have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 guys. You got your group of buddies. Just like, you know, I have with my buddies with Drawn Outdoors, with Ben and Jake and Teddy. I would love nothing more than to go on an elk hunt with the 4 of us. Even if only, you know, 2 of us have a tag or 3 of us have a tag. How much fun would that be? This is just your buddies that you go and do a trip with. Just go elk hunting for, you know, a week or whatever. Like, that is something that guys love to do, because it's the same with like golf trips or anything. Like, they love that time they get to get away from everything else in life and just hang out with their buddies, go do something fun. There are a lot of groups of guys that do this exact thing with elk hunting or deer hunting or whatever it is. And I think it's great. But now you've basically just priced a whole group out of the state. And not only are they, you know, having to spend this much money on a tag, then you got to get there. Like, the amount that you're spending just to go on a bull elk hunt in Utah is insane. Yeah. So, I don't know. Now I'm worried that the other states are going to do it too. I'm worried that, you know, Colorado's going to be like, well, Utah did it. Well, we should do it too. You know, New Mexico, we should do it too. Montana, Wyoming. So, yeah, that's kind of how this podcast started. But that's just an insane amount of money to just straight double. Because, like, even Nebraska this year with our deer, this year or last year, I don't remember what it was, increased our deer prices for non-resident, which we should. But we also put a quota on it on how many tags. So if we sell them all, great. That's awesome. I hope we do sell them all. But at least we have a limit where we didn't have a limit before. I mean, I understand having a slight price increase for Utah. Don't get me wrong. If you want to up it a little bit, sure. But put a limit on your tags if you're so worried about population and so many people hunting. I mean, don't just double it. Find another way to get some money for your game and parks. Good grief. All right. We need to move on. I mean, we'll come back to it. I'm sure I'll bitch about it plenty more over the next however long, but that's all I can think about. And I just want to say a lot worse things. All right. So, talked about Utah there. Yeah. Let's just go. I went online and got a bunch of prices of how much it costs to just go hunt in these states. And all of these, I looked up mostly archery. Some of the states you can do archery or rifle with these prices, because that's just how their state works. But also some of them I just looked up archery because that's just what I feel like most of the time people are going to do, but I could be wrong. But And that's what I went with. The firearm prices weren't that much more than just archery in any of these ones that I did just archery for. So I just started out, I started Iowa for just deer hunting. So general deer license in Iowa for non-resident is $498. And then you have to get a non-resident hunting license, which is $131. And then a habitat fee for $15. So you're looking at around $550. And you got to draw in Iowa. A non-resident preference point, if you're just buying a point, is $60. If you're trying to, so, depending on how many years it takes, depending on the units you're going for. But that's not an unreasonable amount. It still may seem like a lot for a deer, but it's at least seems somewhat fair. Kansas, non-resident white-tailed deer permit is $477. And then you need a non-resident hunting license, which is $127. So you got about $600. I think I was way off when I said Iowa. Did I say 530? I meant 630. Sorry, excuse me. So it's about the same in Kansas as Iowa. Their price is about the same. There is a mule deer stamp optional, but must be drawn for an extra $150. But they just don't have a ton of mule deer there. So you're looking at, $615 to hunt Kansas. And that's for just the tag and license. Preference points, however many you have to do to draw a tag. It's $27 a preference point. So out of state, still looking at probably around $700 just for your tag for deer, which still, to most people, you got to think, most people that are going to hunt Iowa or Kansas, the thing is when you're doing these non-resident hunts, you're not just going to hunt a doe. You're trying to go kill a giant buck. That's what you're trying to do. That's what I'd be trying to do. That's the only reason you're going to these states. You're not just like, you know what, I'm going to go shoot a doe. I'm going to go to Kansas. I want to draw a tag and go shoot a doe for $650. Get the fuck out of here. No, you're not. Anyway, so Kansas and Iowa are about the same price-wise. And, your odds of shooting a big buck there are pretty good. Obviously, if you know somebody that has good land or you got an outfitter lined up, you're going to be paying more money too. So, Minnesota, the deer, all I could find was deer license for $185. I swear I looked this up before a couple years ago, trying to figure out all the stuff you need. I couldn't find what other stuff you needed to have, but I think when I looked it up a year or two ago, I swear all in was around $275 to $300. So not bad at all. There's a lot of deer in Minnesota, so that's not bad. That seems fair to me. I'd pay that. I might do that this year, actually. Yeah, we'll see. South Dakota deer license was $375. I couldn't find anything else as far as habitat stamps or if you needed another permit of anything else. It just $375 is what I came up with from what it said online. So I could be wrong on that. I know what the deer license is, and maybe there may be another fee that could bump it up to $450, $500. I don't know. But still, for out of state, that's not that unreasonable to me. I think anything under $400 for a deer for out of state is reasonable. So Colorado, for deer is $494. And then you also need a $12 habitat stamp. And then from what I read, you also needed an annual hunt permit. It was honestly, I think it said annual small game hunt permit, but it's you had to buy that too. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know for sure. I don't remember when I went antelope hunting with Jake last year out there if he had to buy that $100 tag or not. I feel like he did because I feel like he said it ended up being around $600 for everything, but I'm not entirely sure. But from what I read, it seemed like that's what it said. You had to have that annual hunt permit as well. For Colorado elk, it's $825 for a Colorado elk tag. And then you also, I think, had to have that annual hunt permit and habitat stamp. So you're looking at just over $900, $930 something dollars. That's reasonable to me. And that's why so many people were flocking, I think, to Colorado to hunt elk all the time. And that's why they finally stopped doing the over the counter, which I don't disagree with. I think that's a great idea. Don't just do over the counter. You know, you get to control how many are sold every year. If you have certain units that you know are the herd is hurting, you can limit the tags on that one. I mean, it just makes sense to me. I don't think the jacking the price up is a great idea. I just think that you need to manage your herd. So, and you can do that by limiting tags. So if you have this many tags and they sell out, you're done. Not hard. It's not rocket science, people. It's pretty simple. Wyoming for elk was $707 for a basic tag. And then they also had a special tag for $1,965. And I'm trying to remember exactly what it said. Oh, I think I must have got rid of that article. It was something about like the expensive tag, you had a lot higher odds of drawing or something. If you're a Wyoming person or know anything about Wyoming and how that all works, comment and give me a comment on Spotify or Apple or even on Instagram or whatever. Just fill me on some details because I didn't quite understand exactly how why it was such a huge difference. I honestly, I feel like that one was like you had to go with an outfitter or something too. It was weird. I don't know. Another weird law. Wyoming had an interesting thing too. I saw that they introduced a bill this year to increase their non-resident, or it was resident and non-resident application fees. So like if you're applying for a permit, you know, to try and draw one, they were going to increase the current application fee is $5 for resident and $15 for non-resident. But if this bill passes, it would increase those fees by four times or something like that. So it would be $20 for resident and $75. So, and they were doing that because basically they're saying they can put more money towards the game and parks. I mean, it doesn't sound unreasonable. $75 for just a application point seems kind of ridiculous for non-resident, but I mean, if you keep your tags under $3,000, wouldn't be a big issue. All right, what are we on to next? Oh yeah, also Wyoming deer tag was $389. They also have a conservation tag that you have to buy it, I think, with the elk or the deer for $21. So elk, you're looking at $730, very reasonable. Deer, you're looking at just over $400. I'm good with all that. Seems fair. I don't know what they do for quotas and stuff like that. And I know there's certain units. I think I read something about certain units that aren't open to non-residents. So there's more to go with that. I didn't have enough time to really get fully deep into that. But Illinois, obviously just for deer, license $57, permit $411. That's what I came up with. I think that's correct, but obviously could be missing something there. Don't know for sure. I couldn't find anything else of what it said, if there was anything else you needed in Illinois. So $468, you're hunting out of state, Illinois. So, I mean, again, that doesn't seem unreasonable to me. I think that's a good price for out of state hunting for deer, right around that 500 range, 600. I mean, yeah, it's pricey, but it's not bad. Montana. So Montana, there was a deer combination license, which I believe included everything you needed to hunt deer in Montana, and it was $781.50. And then they had an elk combination tag, which was everything you needed to hunt elk in Montana, which was $1,115. So, I mean, they're already the second highest price-wise to Utah. And they're already $700 cheaper than Utah was currently. And now Utah might be doubling that to get to $3,700. In Montana, you got to draw too. I mean, most of these states, you got to draw. Like, actually, I think probably all of them do. Some units, you don't need as many points, but some units, you need a lot. I mean, think about those guys that have been putting in for like a specific unit in Utah, like maybe one of the best units, and they've been doing it for maybe 15, 20 years or something like that, and they could potentially be drawing it. And now all of a sudden they're going to have to pay $3,700 for that tag. That would piss me off. God, that's insane. Montana seems fair. I mean, it's Montana. Like, everybody wants to go to Montana to go do this hunt. Like, everybody always wants to do that. So I get it. And, there's a lot more than just the hunt there. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a fair price, though. I had looked it up before, and I was like, I would pay that much to go hunt an elk in Montana. I would. Oregon, figured why not look up Oregon. Their non-resident hunting license, $172. You got to pay for that. And then the elk tag, it says general or controlled. I don't remember what the controlled stood for, but in general, they're the same price, $588. So to hunt an elk in Oregon, you're looking at $760, roughly. That's pretty fair. I mean, I don't know how big the elk are in Oregon. I think they have some pretty good ones there. I don't know what their population is like and like how much area they cover. But I mean, that's a pretty fair price to go hunt an elk. I might be going to Oregon. Screw Utah and all these other states that are ridiculous. But so far, Utah is the only one that's going to be ridiculous. But hopefully Oregon doesn't follow suit with what they're doing. I also don't know how long it takes to draw a tag for non-resident Oregon either. I didn't see any. I haven't looked up any details on if you have to put in for a ton of years for that or whatever. I didn't even actually see anything about draw points, but I didn't look that far into it, so I don't know any details on that. Arizona, for non-resident combination hunting and fishing license, $160. The application fee per species that you were going to have to pay for elk would be $15. And then the elk permit tag, if drawn, was $665. So you're looking at $825 to hunt in Arizona for elk. Sign me up for that. Might have to look into Arizona too. I don't even care if their bulls are that big. But, I mean, that's a fair price to me. I could do that. How many times? 6 times? 5 times probably. Something like that. I don't know. Like 4 or 5 times I could go hunt Arizona elk before I could pay for one tag in Utah. Now, I don't know how many points you have to get to draw Arizona elk tag. I don't know, but I'd rather do that than spend $3,700 something in Utah and know that there's a chance I don't even get an elk. I'll go shoot a cow elk for that price in Arizona. Absolutely. Deer also in Arizona, mule deer obviously. Actually, it was mule deer and Coues deer, I believe, when I looked it up. $315 for that. So it's a good price. $315, and then you have to pay for the license, which was $160. And again, I don't know how many points it draws or it takes to draw some of these tags. Obviously, specifically, I'm sure there's units that make a big difference. But still, I mean, put in $15 a year to get points in Arizona. That's actually a pretty good idea. I might start doing that because I can take the whole family down there I can go hunt. Kids can go hang out at a pool or something like that. We're going to have a good time. Arizona, you're on my list. New Mexico for an elk is $548 for a standard license, or $773 for a quality high demand license. And then you also have to do a $65 game hunting license and other fees, it says. I don't remember what the other fees were. I don't think there was much else. And I don't remember what the quality high demand license was. I can't remember if that was like the outfitter one or something like that. Like if you're going through an outfitter, you had to pay, that was the tag you had to go for maybe. I think maybe it was something like that. I don't remember for sure though. But still, that's not an outrageous amount, because if you are going through an outfitter, you're paying however many thousands of dollars to go through an outfitter. So $773 tag, that's a reasonable price. So $548 for standard license and $773 for quality high demand license in New Mexico. I know there's a couple areas in New Mexico I've heard that have like the biggest bulls in the world, they claim. So I don't know. Wisconsin deer, all I could find was $200 for Wisconsin deer. That was it. I couldn't find anything else on what else you needed to buy. So Wisconsin, you need to get your website figured out if there's anything else, because it was not a very well done website. In Ohio, you need a hunting license for $18. You get an either sex deer permit for $381. So total, you're right at $400. So $400 to go hunt deer in Ohio. Seems reasonable to me too. God, this beer is not that good. Well, so that's all the numbers I got. So if all these other states that have elk, just because I'm thinking about it at the moment, because deer, I mean, I don't see deer prices doubling like elk. I mean, maybe in Utah, I guess obviously Utah did it, but that just seems ridiculous. But if Colorado doubled their elk price, it'd be $825 for the tag. So all in, if they doubled all of it, you're looking at, it's $825 now. You're looking at $1,650 is what you'd be looking at if it doubled. So if they doubled everything, all in, you're looking at like $1,900. Wyoming, if they doubled it, you're looking at $1,500. Montana would be $2,200. Oregon would be just over $1,500-$1,600. Arizona would be around $1,400-$1,500. New Mexico, same thing. So I really hope these other states don't follow Utah, because that would be stupid. It's not that you're killing your out-of-state hunting, because there's still going to be a number of out-of-state hunters, but it's really going to hurt the amount of people that can do an out-of-state hunt. All those guys that really want to go do an out-of-state hunt, you're just killing it. Like, it's just going to make it so expensive. Like I said, it's becoming a rich man's sport. You look at how much money it costs to go do these hunts, just to go try and kill an animal. You know, people want to go kill a bear, like their dream is to go kill a black bear. You're paying a few grand to go do it. You want to go kill a grizzly, you're paying a lot of money to go kill a grizzly. You want to go kill a sheep, you're paying a lot of money to go kill a sheep. And that's on top of having to put in for points for however many years in most of these, especially with sheep. Same with elk in some of these units. Moose. I'd love to go kill a moose. I haven't even looked into how much that's going to cost because I know I've heard numbers, but it's going to be an insane amount of money. Like, it's becoming the rich man's game. And even when we hunted with the outfitter for antelope in Colorado, he told us, like, I don't know if he told us all his prices, but his mule deer was $10,000 a person. That was just the outfitter fee. And then you're paying the whatever on top of it, for the deer permit, $500 or whatever. I mean, and he even said most of his clients are extremely rich people, like multimillionaires. It's pretty much all of his clients. Either that or they're famous athletes, super rich, have a lot of money. So it's just becoming a rich man's game. I feel like that's part of the reason. This may sound stupid, but it's like, I mean, obviously that's for a mule deer hunt, and they shoot giant mule deer. Don't get me wrong; they're one of the best big mule deer places to go. But you look at most states, whitetail deer is like the thing to hunt, and that's what everybody hunts because it's the cheapest thing to hunt, and it is a lot of fun. I love it, but it's because I can afford it too. If all of a sudden I can't afford to whitetail hunt, like, then what am I going to do? What's everybody else going to do? I don't know. And I get the whole keeping your prices cheap for residents because you live there, but it's like, I shouldn't have to move to every state to go afford to do that. I don't know. I'm probably just sounding stupid now, but I'm all for limiting tags and making people pay a fair price. But what Utah is probably about to do, from what it sounds like, that just seems ridiculous. Honestly, I hope it just backfires on them. That's just me. But I'm sure they'll get all the rich people that will still keep going. But all those people that have been putting in for how many points for how many years, all of a sudden, if I had been putting in for Utah for how many years, building up points, and I'm like, finally thinking I'm about to get the tag that I want, at least just from me, not somebody who's a super rich person. And all of a sudden I find out that that's how much I'm going to have to pay for my tag if I draw it this year. That's a hard pill to swallow. I don't know. All these hunts you look up, especially when you look up all these other hunts, like for these crazy big games, you got the guys that are trying to, go shoot the whatever Big Ten or Super Slam, whatever. I don't know. Kill all these species, and the amount of money you got to spend to be able to do it is insane. And it just doesn't feel like it's the way it was supposed to be as far as for the outdoorsman. And yeah, I don't know where else to go with this podcast. About 40 minutes in. This is probably going to be a little bit shorter because that's about all I really had. I just wanted to get on here and vent about it. I just think between the prices getting really high for the average Joe, all the rich people are able to go on all these hunts because they got the money for it. And I'm not complaining that they're rich. I'm not complaining about that. You earned your money. That's fine. But now they're just pricing out the average person and just basically catering to the rich people. So I don't know. I guess I need to go make a bunch more money, I guess. But yeah, some of the prices I've looked up for doing these big cool hunts, for moose and, or going overseas to Africa or New Zealand and stuff, like they're just, and that's different because you're leaving the country. I mean, we're not talking about leaving the country for Utah. But in general, like just to go on some of these other hunts up to like Alaska and stuff, they're insanely expensive. And what I do want to know, because I doubt they're paying for it most of the time, is you have all these content creators, you know, or these TV show hunters, and they all get to go on these crazy hunts. And most of the time, I don't think they're paying for them. Either their sponsors are paying for them, or they work out a deal with the outfitter to promote their outfit. So that's a whole nother thing. I love content creators. Don't get me wrong, I do. But when they promote stuff like, you know, go hunt this outfit and everything, it's great, it's awesome experience. It's like, that's great. I would love to, but did you pay for it? Because that's what I want to know. If you paid for it out of your own pocket, absolutely, I got your back. I 100% agree with you. But if you're not paying for it, stop promoting it. Nobody cares. Yeah. I think that's about all I got for today. I don't really have too much more to ramble on about, and I probably rambled enough already. I'm going to finish this gross beer from Outlaw in Colorado. Sorry, guys. I tried it. I tried to like you. It's got a cool can, but it's just not that good. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening and watching. Catch you next time.